Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at my tackle bag and what I'm bringing out with me on the water this spring. I made a video about this bag here. This is the Bass Pro Stalker side pack and I picked this up last year. It's a really nice bag. I have one tray in it and a whole bunch of soft plastic bags. And right now what I'm going for is panfish, pretty much only panfish. Bass season doesn't open until the 4th Saturday of June. So I have some time to kind of play around with different stuff. And pike season just opened last weekend, so I got a few pike lures in here as well. I'm not a pike angler. I don't fish for pike that often. In fact, it's only ever really a bycatch for me as I'm targeting bass, but I kind of want to change that up this spring and try to get on a couple more. So I throw a few pike lures in here as well. The bag does come and have room for 2 trays, but I put it down to only 1. The reason for that is I just need lots of room for all my soft plastic bags that we're going to get into. But really, right now in the spring, I'm keeping it pretty light. I have, a bunch of micro jigs, like small 132 ounce, 116 ounce, and I even have a 332nd ounce. That's the biggest I'll go this time of year. And other than that, it's really just, it's a lot of small lures, so I don't need that much room. So I'll start by talking about what I'm throwing for pike. Like I said, I'm not a pike angler. And it's hard. A lot of the waters I fish are just full of weeds, so a lot of these bigger pike lures just don't work. They're not going to get through much of the sludge that I'm fishing this time of year. So, anyways, I do have a few. This is the jerk bait here. Pretty nice standard bait. Everybody knows what a jerk bait is if you fish avidly. I'm sure you've seen one of these. This is a bait I do not fish that often, honestly. I don't know what it is. It's definitely the fact that there's these trebles on here. Treble hooks scare me, man. I'm constantly having to fight these through weeds. It never works. I'm always just fishing around so much structure and just filth in the water that it's such a pain. But it is something I got to keep on hand just in case. You never know where you end up. This is a lure that I love. The spinnerbait is awesome. It can get through so much of the weed. Like I said, I have a problem with weeds around where I'm fishing. So with that bar on there, it really does stop getting hung up a lot. It makes a lot of noise. It's a good bait that you can just swim anywhere. I pair it with a nice white trailer. I always go with this white and chartreuse color on my spinner baits. It just seems to be what works. So I do have one of these in my tackle bag at pretty much all times of the year. So like I said, I'm not really a huge pike angler. I don't have that many pike lures on me right now. However, I do want to invest in maybe like a 5 of diamonds, maybe some more, maybe an inline spinner or 2. Just something to have ready to go in case I do feel like fishing for something bigger than the bluegill and the crappie that I'm always going for all spring. It does just get kind of boring. Trout are also open right now, but it's not really big around where I am. It's hard to find some nice good trout streams. Carp, catfish, that sort of thing is also, of course, open all year. I just don't really care to fish with live bait. I prefer to fish hard and fast with lures and that sort of thing. So, like I said, I don't have much. One thing that I did pick up recently this year is this Johnson silver minnow. This one's actually in like a black kind of color, which I thought was neat. But this is a very interesting lure to me because, it's been around like for hundreds of years now. It's probably one of the first. And it's nice, dude. It's a weedless spoon. So like I say, I can't fish trebles in a lot of the water that I fish. And so, I don't know why it's taken me so long to buy some of these, but I made it down to America and I bought one in a few different sizes, and yeah, this should be interesting. Very excited to throw this. It has that weed guard, single hook, real nice, and should be pretty juicy to throw. So like I said, I have this silver minnow in a couple different sizes. This one's more for bass, I would say. I'm gonna keep it on me anyways. I can see crappie hitting that, definitely. Crappie, rock bass, that sort of thing. I'm excited to throw this. Now, I also have it in an even smaller size. This is like a micro little thing here. This is going to be nice for panfish, man. I got to bend that weed guard out a bit, I guess, now that I'm looking at it. But, yeah, man. There you go. There you go. Bent out a bit more straight. Yeah, so this is going to be cool. I'm going to be throwing this very soon, definitely. I really am interested in seeing how this performs. I saw a video by a guy named Angling Archaeology, I believe his name was. As I was doing research on the silver minnow, I found his video, and he was using one of these really small ones to catch a nice sized bass. So, should be fun to throw pretty much all year round. Something I'll touch on quickly is, as you see there, I do have some floats. I have a couple, small hooks. There's some one-aught octopus hooks. You know, I kind of keep some of these on me at all times. Like I said, I don't fish much with live bait, but you never know where you are, where, you know, if for some reason you get some worms or something like that. You know, I have buddies that fish with live bait a lot, so remember with them, it's nice to have that option that I can always just rig up. I got some split shots here, pretty standard stuff, and I always just keep that on standby. So this here is the 132 ounce mule jig. Very small little jig. I have so many little 164, 132, tons of these micro jigs. I'm always fishing them pretty much all year round. This is my favorite though. A really nice light kind of hook gauge that really just, it bends out of things. It never has to get stung up, but it won't bend on a fish, I find. I just mean like if I'm getting into like trees and logs or something, it's really easy to rip it right out. Nice small bait keeper. You know, sometimes you get these jigs and they have these huge bait keepers on them. And it's just a pain. It tears up your plastics, that sort of thing. Especially when I'm fishing with very small plastics. That small bait keeper is more than necessary. All of the mule jigs have this kind of shroom head style that I love. You can almost fish it like a Ned. But yeah, this is my favorite jig as far as you know, the micro jigs go. And so I always have that in some different colors. I always have at least 6 of them on me. I don't know, you never know how many you're gonna go through in a day. I have it in the white and chartreuse here, but I've used it in black, pink, every sort of color you can imagine. They work great. And so there's a lot of times where you end up fishing with those small jigs and you're only getting bluegill. You can't keep the small, tiny little things off. So this is when I size up. This is the 116 ounce mule jig. It's a little bit bigger. That hook's just a little bit bigger, which is what's needed to kind of keep those small, tiny bluegill off. This is really good for crappie. This is kind of my perfect size for crappie. I pair this up with just any sort of finesse paddle tail swim bait. Swim it, jig it, whatever can get me on the fish. And it's one of my go-to baits year round. But very good for the crappie. Then I have a little bit heavier here, and this is what I'll fish year round for bass. But same thing, if you know, if there's like wind, if there's a stronger current, I'll just go heavier on the mule jig and pair that with the same swim bait as I would with the lighter size. And this is crappie candy, man. They love this thing. They can't go for it. Any color, it works. So like I say, I always keep tons of jigs on me. These are both 132 ounce jigs that are not as good as a mule jig. This one, like I said, has those huge bait keepers on it where it's like part of the weight. Yeah, it just kind of sucks. And these have long hooks on them, big hooks. The Callan's crappie jigs, I'm not really a huge fan of. I thought I would like them. You know, they look like a pretty low profile kind of size, but those hooks are just too big for what they are. But I always like to keep lots of jigs on me. I don't know why, I just have so many all the time, but I'm just constantly using them, so I guess it makes sense. So as I wrap up what I keep in my box, I do have 2 types of blade baits that I do use for panfish. This here is the beetle spin. This is another lure like that Johnson Silverman that's just been around forever. And you know, it's just a simple like micro spinner bait. And it does work pretty good. I haven't used this as often as I think I should. But I think I'm gonna start soon. What I might do is, since you can take this this jig off here, I'm just gonna pull this off, put a mule jig on there with a donkey tail, which you'll see, and I think that'll work really nice. I think it will. So yeah, always keep at least one of these beetle spins in my bag. You know, they come in all different sizes. This is like a 132 ounce, real nice and small. That soft plastic isn't great. That's weird, man. I don't know. I'll probably be getting rid of that soft plastic. I won't be using that on it. But yeah, beetle spin's great. And I feel like there's 2 main options people use when it comes to blade baits. That was the you know, spinner bait style. This is called the chatter bait. This is the micro chatter bait, actually. Pretty commonly used bait. I like the full size chatter bait. It's pretty nice. However, this one is just too small to get any action out of. I don't like this thing. I don't recommend you buy it. It's kind of a shank. I thought it would be pretty neat, pretty cool. However, I just don't pull this out at all because it's really hard to get a good action on this this blade here. You know, you can't get that big thwomp like you would with a full-size chatterbait. So it stays in my bag anyways. However, like I say, I don't use it much. I don't even really recommend it. So that's pretty much all I need to talk about in the actual tray itself. Like I say, this time of year, I'm very, very simple with my fishing techniques. Almost exclusively using small jigs. They pair well great just for all that kind of multi-species stuff that I'm doing right now. This time of year, I don't really care what I'm catching. Whether it be crappie, rock bass, bluegill, perch. I just kind of want to see what I can pull up. And so, you know, a small bait can catch the most amount of fish, I find. And it's not until bass season that I really hone in on that species of fish. So it's fun just to have a little bit of everything. So now let's talk soft plastics. I have so many different types. Definitely overkill. This isn't even half of my collection. I'm a bit of a sucker for soft plastics when I see them on sale or anything like that. And especially these guys, these mule fishing ones, are legendary, man. They work so good for any fish. And so we'll start with that. These are the Donkey Tail Junior. It's a very small finesse paddle tail style bait. I won't get too much into it. I have so many videos talking about these. Almost all of my videos I'm using them. Real small 1.6 inch bait. This is what I pair with those 132 ounce jigs. Pretty much exclusively. I actually got one rigged up, I'll show you. The best part about the mule jig is, man, this bait will last you so many fish. This one's been chewed up, it's been through the ringer, but it's got that Z-Man kind of Elastec style of thing going on where it always comes back. It never really rips, right? So no matter how many fish you get on it, it'll last you forever. These are beautiful baits, beautiful jigs. It works perfect. Now, sometimes you're gonna need to size up. That's when I pull out the full-size Donkey Tail. This thing is perfect, man. If you're a finesse fisherman, you need to add this. I'm not sponsored, but you need to add this into your arsenal. It is so good. This is something I always keep on medium light. I swim it, I jig it, I do whatever. Fish love this thing. All species, man. I've caught in pike, I've caught in bass, I've caught in all sorts of bait fish on this thing. And yeah, very fun bait to use. Basically the same as the Donkey Tail Junior. And man, I'm not lying. There's a black Donkey Tail currently rigged up on my medium light rod with a, I believe that's the 1/16 ounce jig. So good, so versatile. If you're having a slow day, pull something like this out. It doesn't have to be the mule ones, but a finesse paddle tail will always work well for you. Mule fishing doesn't just do the Donkey Tail, they do have some other baits. Here are the burrow bug and the horsefly. Pretty interesting things. This burrow bug I'm going to be throwing more, I think. I don't know why I haven't thrown it, but this year I think I will. I've seen some people on you know, Instagram and that fishing it, and it does look pretty nice. The horsefly I haven't been that thrilled with. This is probably more of like a trout creek kind of lure. But for me, it's just a little bit too small of a profile. I like the bug style baits like a Helgramite, something like that. That's maybe a little thicker. It's just too thin for me, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really caught fish on it, but like I say, I haven't really used it all that much, so I can't say it's the worst bait in the world, but definitely not as good as the Donkey Tail is for me. Like I say, you do not need a Donkey Tail. This is another finesse paddle tail that I use pretty frequently. This is the Ripple Shad Berkeley Power Bait, 2-inch bait. The plastic's a little less of that stretchy kind of, it's a little less, like, you don't get the action like you do on that Donkey Tail, but pretty nice little finesse swim bait. That paddle tail does move, and pair that on a 132 ounce jig and you're golden. Another plastic that I'll just always have on me here is the curly tail grub. I have this in a white, you know, kind of a bigger size. This is a really good 4-inch. This is a really good, you know, trailer for that spinner bait, things like that. It also works great on a jig. This is smaller. This is a 2-inch teeny in pink. I don't know why I picked these up. They must have been on sale, but same kind of thing, man. You throw that on a jig. The curly tail grub's been around for so long. It does work. It does catch fish. I always try to keep at least one bag on. Bass Pro has a nice line of baits called the Crappie Max line. This here is the Stubby Butt, man. It's a pretty neat little finesse swim bait. That tail gets a lot of action. Really good just as a jig on like a 132 ounce jig around ponds, creeks. This will get you on bluegill like no tomorrow, man. Pretty nice bait. Now check this one out. This is something new I found this over the winter. This is the Z-Man Micro Finesse Tiny Tickler Z. Pretty neat little thing. That Tickler Z is one of the best Ned baits that I love. I love it. I have it in that green Canada craw color, and it has caught me so many smallmouth bass. Smallmouth bass seem to love that thing. Almost like a tube, I guess, so it does make sense, but you fish it like a Ned. This is it in a smaller version. I'll be throwing it for sure. Don't know how good it'll work, but we'll see. It should be fun. This one here is a neat bait as well. This is the Euro Tackle Micro Finesse Anti-Softera. Pretty neat little bug bait. It's a 1.5 inch bait. Pretty nice. I'll pull one out for you. Yeah, so it's got that, you know, it's a bug, man. It's pretty neat looking. Euro Tackle is one that I know a lot of guys in the micro finesse kind of world use. They a lot of them swear by it. I have not been much of a Euro Tackle connoisseur. However, saw these, had to pick them up. They look pretty nice, especially paired on a small, like 164 ounce jig. So yeah, I always keep a bag of these in me when I'm going for panfish. So yeah, I've really sized down what I bring. I'm really trying to hone it in on a species basis, you know, so once bass season opens up and I can go for them, it's gonna be full of like Texas rig stuff, Ned rig stuff, you know, that sort of thing. Right now, pretty much all panfish. And some pike, I'm gonna get on pike soon. So if you have any pike baits that you think I should try, please leave them in the comments below, and I might have to pick some up, as I am gonna start hitting some bigger bodies of water this spring. Either way, that is all. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll be out fishing soon, and hopefully we can get on some awesome fish this spring and summer. Take care, everybody. Tight lines.